Hello, I'm Richard Lowe, and this is the Leaders and Their Stories podcast. I'm the writing king and ghostwriting guru, and I'm here with Lucas Bonder, who's here to talk about an amazing thing that he's found out. Lucas, why don't you tell us about yourself and then about that?
Okay, my name is Lucas Bonder. I'm researching spirituality, higher consciousness, metaphysics, and whatever is related to the human mind that can transcend time space reality. And what I found out is that there's only one body. So physically, I want to prove that there's only one body, and that despite we are seeing everything through a lens of distortion and separation, it's only because we're in our bodies. But if we were floating around or in the universe, we would see there's only one body.
What do you
So
mean by one body? You mean we all share a body, or that we each have only one body? I'm not sure what you
there's
mean.
only one body in the universe.
Okay.
So your body and my body are just separate by space, right? But
Well, I assume space and time.
yeah, but space and time. But at the same time, space or whatever is in the universe is the universe itself. So if you were gonna go towards what non-duality says, where there's only one thing, if you wanna have a non-dual awareness in the universe, there has to be only one thing, which is the universe itself. Yeah. So if there's only one thing, physically also there's only one thing, but that's the hardest part. Because if you go towards seeing a table and then saying, okay, I'm not the table, or I'm not the other person, or I'm not the other know me. Psychology, where when you're growing up, you start developing the ego, and so you start separating from everything, and then you exist. Until you're 3, 4 years old,
Hmm.
there's no me. There's only universe. And that's what I want to help people get back to with their intelligence of an adult, of course, but with their consciousness where they're not separated with everything. So the barriers just go away.
I see. So it's like a tree and then there's little leaves coming out that are us, and we think we're separate.
Yes, it's not that we think we're separate. We're experiencing separateness. And that's what's causing war. That's what's causing a lot of our mental problems or our mental, let's say, I mean, there's a lot of mental health issues in the world. So I believe it's all
No
based.
way, no way. There's not a lot of mental health. No, I'm kidding.
No, I really believe there's like a really serious thing about mental health, and that if you're going to use spirituality to treat or help people regain their freedom from ego, then it's something fantastic. It's not only for yourself anymore. It's not only to say, hey, I did this, I discovered that. It's not about you anymore. It's about just sharing something that is more than yourself, just transcending to another dimension of consciousness.
So would that explain why it's often said that the more you help people, the more things come back to you?
Yeah, but that would be also from ego because you're doing just giving to receive. The end point is receiving again. So, if yes, that's correct. It's karma. I mean, I'm not a fan of karma, but I know it exists. If you're gonna do good deeds, good things are gonna happen to you. But at the same time, if you're open to giving because you really care about the other person, because you're seeing somebody in front of you that might need that help, that is not to receive. You can also give just to give.
I see. I see. Yeah, like Mother Teresa was a very giving person, I guess. At least that's the way her
Yes,
PR worked.
absolutely. Or Moses or Jesus or all the like the woken ones that were literally sent here to show us something. And some people are really waking up, like I'm meeting a lot of people that are having huge spiritual experiences, and others are still suffering. So they don't know that they can. I think there's not so much clarity about what they're gonna get in a spiritual path, and I believe that's a good topic we can discuss.
All right. Well, so you started it. Let's go on. Let's tell me
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, so I believe that there has to be a clear intention to share what it's going to give you because people are still people include myself, but we are still in a level of consciousness that we're trying to figure out, first of all, what we have to do. And secondly, what do we want to get out of it? What's the experience? What is all the spirituality thing about? So, there's some people that reached really higher levels, and there's some people that are still struggling with their ego, with who they are all the time, thinking about themselves, right? Like comparison, and it's not about you. Like that's the whole message that all the prophets, all the teachers try to give. It's not about you. Like forget about you for a minute, and you will find amazing freedom. Amazing freedom. Just forget about yourself for a minute. There's a very good philosopher, I think he was Chinese or Hindu or Japanese, where he was saying, you're just a thought in your mind. That is,
That's
that is,
interesting.
Yeah, that really stuck with me. Like, we are just thoughts in our mind. So what happens if you silence your mind completely and you don't think about anything? Do you still exist? That challenges the entire Newtonian way of thinking, which says, I think, therefore I am. Entirely.
Interesting.
So I have a question
Interesting.
for you. My question
Okay.
is, yeah, my question for you is, can you really have, like, can you really find who you are in your mind? Or is that just a thought of who you are?
Well, that's an interesting question. A little deeper than I expected to get, but I guess you could, because if you're part of a tree, then you could obviously maybe you can see the tree.
Yeah, you could see the tree if you know you're part of a tree. If you don't know, what happens then? You clearly know you're part of something bigger, but what happens with somebody that is always struggling with himself? It's pure suffering, and a lot of people are in that state. You go in the streets, you
Interesting.
go take a walk, and they're not that happy. Everyone, like, I don't see so much happiness around, and I don't see
Would you?
so much suffering either. I see a middle point, but I think that really releasing those parts of yourself that no longer serve, just like stop thinking about you all the time. That's ego death. That's being like that's like the major step into a higher state. Letting go of yourself for a minute.
And does this apply to animals as well?
Well, animals don't have self consciousness. They're, I
So
mean,
you say? I mean, a dolphin, cats. I mean, I've seen my cat do
they
some
know
pretty
the
smart
existence,
things.
but they can't rationalize themselves as humans do. They can't
Okay.
think about themselves or philosophize about the self. They just be. So they also have another kind of intelligence. They're so free from their mind that they're being all the time. They're just being. They're not thinking how to be. They're just being.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I assume this would apply if there were aliens in the universe. I assume this would apply to them. I mean,
Do
it's
you
a big
believe,
universe.
do you believe in them?
Well, I just read a thing that said there's 100 trillion stars.
Yeah.
With the more planets, I mean, it's hard to believe that we're the only one.
I'm sure there's other things around. What I'm not sure is if they're gonna contact us as everybody's expecting for it to happen. Why didn't they yet? Is it part of
Well,
God's will?
the distances are vast. I mean, they're incredibly long between here and a star, here in a galaxy, here to the edge of the universe, just by Einsteinian physics, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Absolutely. The distances are very, very far away. But at the same time, we cannot comprehend another species unless we are them or we are connected with them. So I don't want to go into secret files or all those things that are being declassified, but there's already evidence there's something wrong.
Okay. Okay, well, we won't go there. You've written a book, you said.
Yes, I've written two books.
2 books. So what are they?
The first one is called Love for Wisdom. It's a book to help people reach another level of consciousness,
Okay.
true understanding of the self and how to behave in a way that reaches you to other levels compared to someone that doesn't have a spiritual path. And the second one, it's called, I don't know if I want to say it. Should I?
I can always edit it out.
No, I will let it up. The second one is I'm still working on it, but it's called Think Like God. And I believe it's the most it's more powerful than the first one in terms of, but if we start thinking how God wants us to think, things will work out.
I
I
see.
believe in God as a creator, and I believe He's created a fantastic universe so that we can somehow learn something from Him. So He's the real teacher. We're just here students, and if we're really, really studying a lot or learning a lot, I mean spiritually, then yes, we can be teachers as well, but you're going to teach only what you know. The whole point is that going from the first point where God created the universe, in my perspective, there's some people that don't believe in God, but in my perspective, God created the universe, and then He created heaven, He created earth, and then depending on your level of consciousness, you're going to reincarnate or not. Then that shows you everything. That shows you the whole picture.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I was watching a documentary on YouTube about the brain,
Yeah,
and you've got eyes, and the light from, say, this screen hits my eyes in nanosecond, even faster.
yeah,
But you've got sound, and that hits in milliseconds. And you got
yeah,
taste, takes a few seconds. Now the brain also sees little itty bitty. It doesn't see this big picture. It's actually moving it around all the time, and then it erases all the fuzziness. So somehow the brain puts all of these senses together, even though they're time delays, and it predicts the future. So it predicts where you're going to be. And I look at that and I think, you couldn't tell me that that's by just natural selection. This was designed.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
no way.
Absolutely. So my point is, if we're in a perfect universe, what about evil?
Well, every coin needs a second side.
Yeah, and every action a reaction, and every light a shadow. But my question is, if God is good, I just want to make the viewer of this podcast like think, because this is the major flaw of why people don't take so much of a spiritual path, because they're so caught up with evil in themselves and around them more, that evil becomes a defense mechanism. So my point is, can you let go of evil, or is it just inherent in the human being?
Well, there's something called a force multiplier. And let's take the Boston bombing, okay? 2 little bombs went off in some trash cans. Yet the entire country panicked and locked down everything, and it was a huge mess and so forth. But it was 2 bombs in a trash can. Oh, that was evil, obviously, throwing off the 2 bombs there. They had political motives or some motives, whatever their motives were. But they were depending on the force multiplier effect, because what was something that was actually, it was very small, became very large, partially because of the news and partially because people panicked and the government made it bigger. And that's a phenomenon that probably applies to what you're talking about, is evil. Could Hitler have become what he became without people agreeing with it and following him?
Absolutely. That's the whole point. Recognize your evil side so you can take it away. Unless you're pointing everyone with your fingers and then you are the good guy and the world is absolutely upside down. Yeah, I believe that the only way, as Jung said, to work on your shadow is first to look at it. Is if you don't
Of
see your
course.
shadow. If you saw a lot of your shadow and you really, really perfected it and turn it into light, then you're an alchemist and you're someone with a transformational power. But
Hmm.
if you are not even recognizing your flaws, you don't have self criticism, what are you going to work on? You're perfect,
Interesting. Interesting.
right? Like, yeah, like you don't have anything to perfect. So I believe that insecurities, flaws, evil, bad deeds, everything is so that we finally come back home, which is God, and we let go of all our evil side if you want to, because some people want to be evil. But if you really, really want to go into a karma path or a good karma path, then let go of evil. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, we're running out of time. So is there any last thing you want to leave our listeners with?
If I have to say one thing, is there's no such path as strong for the self to experience such as a spiritual path. So I believe some have it, some don't. I know for experience because I know people who don't have it and I know people who do have it. But I would absolutely recommend having a spiritual path and having a teacher always to guide you in the path. It can be a rabbi, it can be a guru, it can be whatever. But have someone to guide you until you are free from evil consciousness, which is the lowest. And then there's much levels to ascend. I'm still ascending in my own path. I'm not yet where I want to be, but I'm really happy with this path. I'm really happy.
Nice. Nice. Well, thank you for coming. This has been the Leaders and Their Stories podcast. I've been here with Lucas Bonder. How would we reach you if we wanted to reach you?
You can reach me at bonderlucas@gmail.com.
Okay. Very good. Appreciate you being on the show. My name is Richard Lowe. I'm the I'm the writing king and ghostwriting guru. And you can reach me at thewritingking.com or ghostwriting.guru. And thank you all for listening, and come to the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.